Hey, welcome to the Steve Davis Show. Special guest today is Ken Sanchez. Ken Sanchez, boy, I almost butchered that. I'm going to get thrown off the board right off the top. But of District 1 and Ken, City Councilor, thanks for coming on.
No, it's great to be on your show. This is much better than Meet the Press. I said that was my ultimate goal one day, is to be on Meet the Press, but to be on your show, Steve.
To be on Steve Davis, that's
better than Meet the Press.
Hey, first of all, I just want to start this. To all the city councils, all the people of the city, I sincerely from my heart, Proview networks would not exist. Okay, and for you and the city councilor and everybody and the mayor. To see the value that we provide is it gives me chills and goosebumps. But it starts with you and and all the other people on the seats, and it's been a long, hard fight. But I always look back and whether if you really saw what it started 10 years ago, we had no equipment, we had no deal, and now we have this nice facility and we have equipment and you give us the ability to do more games, and that's all we want to do. We're enthusiasts about sports, so that's what we do, and I just want to thank you for your support.
And I'm a major sports lover also, and I've seen the progression of Proview Network over the last 10 years. And I want to thank my colleagues on the Albuquerque City Council, because they have also been very supportive of the initiative. And we've got Councilor Winter, who served as the acting superintendent of APS, to see so many televised games of our young kids and showing all the positive aspects of our young children and high school kids. It's just been incredible to watch. I mean, we see the newspapers and it's always the negative, but we don't get to see the positive enough. And I just was really amazed by the work that you guys have done over the last 10 years. And even if the equipment was not that good, it was just demonstrating how important our youth are in our community and what they're going to be contributing to this community hopefully in the future, and not having to leave Albuquerque because of a struggling economy.
Well, you know what? You made some great points right there, and it kind of touches home with me. Was when we first started, it was people were always complaining. One was first the internet, and now the internet, and now is again with the city's help, is it's almost you can have internet anywhere, and with the APS's help, we have hard lines in all the stadiums and everything, and it's really nice to have the infrastructure set so we don't have the buffering and the things that made it. But what kept me going at that time was people. When I first started, it was like, you're never going to make it, Steve. It's not going to happen. But I get all these complaints that, so they were watching it. Okay, so I was like, well, if it's so bad, why are you watching it? And it was basically, it wasn't because of Proview Networks. It was because of our youth and because of all the great athletes, the coaches, the athletic directors. Everybody was and we only have really two major sports I consider in our two big venues, and that's APS and that's also UNM. And we don't have a pro sport, the isotopes, in the summertime, but we really don't. That's the main tension of the whole city. And I just want to thank you and what you let me kind of live my dream. To be able to have just be able to sit and talk to you and talk about sports and talk about all the good things you've done.
I mean, it was a dream that you accomplished, but I think it was the heart and soul and the time you've put into this and the sacrifices that you have made. These things are not easy, they're not inexpensive, and the cost to put a production together becomes very expensive. But I think the investment that the city has made has been a very positive aspect to our community in making that contribution, to see what you and your team, because I've seen your team also, you guys have some dynamic people that also work for Proview Network that call these games. I've been to some of the games and you do a very professional job. It's just been fun to watch, and it's been fun to see the progression.
Well, that's funny you bring that. It's just kind of like it's just probably the same thing as the city council. I mean, you got great people on. You got people with integrity. Is that you know, if you think of our announcers, we got Ed Nunez, that's a, you know, longtime ref, good citizen of Albuquerque, and a former Highland High School basketball player, and you know, you got Scott Galletti, was a former voice of the Lobos. So, and you know, you got Richard Tripp, that's the broadcaster of the year. All of a sudden, they all wanted to come work for Proview Networks, and so my thought process on the whole thing was that, and it's still my whole thing. Every game that we do is, no matter what their record is or where they're at in the standings, and we do an unbelievable job with football because of the stadiums, and we can set up and we can do three games a night. But every game that we do, we have the best, because we, you know, the best of the best doing the games.
And I'm glad to see that we also now have Community Stadium, which is Nucinda Stadium, up on Albuquerque's west side. I had taken a lot of criticism from the neighbors and my own neighbors, because I live in that neighborhood, saying that it was going to create crime, it was going to create problems, traffic issues. And it's been a great asset to the community. And when I go out to my backyard at night, I can hear the kids cheering for their teams. It's wonderful. Plus, I can walk over and watch a football game. And it's been an incredible addition to this community. Milne Stadium was built in the 1930s. Wilson Stadium was built in the 60s. And I told the residents of my community that didn't want it, I said, you know, we need a new football stadium, high school football stadium on Albuquerque's west side. So we were able, with all the criticism and contradiction and opposition, working very closely with APS, we were able to build Community Stadium. And how they built it, and they listened to the community, is they kind of built it like a pit. So the sound when games are going on, it doesn't carry a long way. So, you know, you do hear the kids cheering, you do hear the bands playing the music. I think it's great. And I think the critics and the opposition that live in the same neighborhood that I live in now are now very supportive of Community Stadium. And now APS will be building a new K-8 school, and following that will be a brand new high school on Albuquerque's west side.
Well, let me give you a little funny story on that, Ken. My wife went to one of the games. It was so well hidden, she couldn't find the stadium, okay? I mean, she wasn't used to being on the west side, and I said, that's how, I mean, really, you have to really look for it to know it's even there. And if I'm correct, and I could be off, I think it's 42 feet in the bottom. It's from down, right. It's built into the ground, 42 feet, and that's just the beginning of a sports area that I do believe that's in the works right now, of all the good things that are going to happen. And I think one of my drawbacks, I mean, I'm just something to do, was that I thought it was too far out, but really it's 8 minutes or 9 minutes from the intersection. I mean,
yeah, it's right off of 90 and I-40, and we are now also constructing a new baseball complex, and I want to call that the Field of Dreams on Albuquerque's west side, because once we build it, they will come. And we are looking at bringing in economic development, tournaments from you know, teams coming in from all over the country to play here. But hopefully we can make sure that we keep in mind that first and foremost, this should be used for the residents of Albuquerque at the same time. So I'm sure some of the high school baseball games will be played there, some of the state tournament games will be played there, and hopefully we will see Proview Network out at the new Field of Dreams broadcasting some of these games.
Well, I want to be on the infrastructure, because I just made that comment earlier. I had to have my 2 cents. There's a nice little booth made that we can be protected from the rain, and we'll be there. But that's I'm sure that's being happening right now. But it's amazing the impact that even when the Nucinda community was being built, they called us and asked us. We actually had a little place that they built to our specs, what we needed. So that was a great honor to be even part of to know that Proview was part of that system.
And it's still being built, so I think it's important maybe that the contractors contact Proview to give them a space and a site to work with the elements that you're dealing with to be able to broadcast some of these games. But we are very excited about that facility, and that's phase 1 of the facility. Phase 2 will include, we're looking at more soccer fields, and also maybe an indoor venue for volleyball and soccer. And we are just very excited that, again, it'll be tournaments that'll be coming to our city, economic dollars coming to our community, but the investment by the taxpayers, and I want to personally say thank you to the taxpayers of this community. It's an $18 million investment for phase 1.
Well, from my standpoint, because I'm in sports and I know that I'm pretty biased, so it's like, everything else. I mean, I know there's crime, there's police, there's everything, but sports and what we do for the youth it's long overdue. And I think, and the reason I say that from an economic standpoint is that so many AU teams, something that you know about, it frustrates me. We're going out of state to go to tournaments, and the revenue that's lost. And for baseball, I don't think that there's really a better state for baseball weather in the summertime than Albuquerque, because it's pretty, the conditions are very good compared to Phoenix, and compared to Texas, and compared to Las Vegas, where a lot of our economic dollars go to.
Well, I know Elaine, my policy analyst, has a son, Elijah, who's now going to high school at St. Pius, and they travel all over the country with their club league. And that gets very expensive, but they are helping economies in other cities. So we're hoping that the same benefit comes back to Albuquerque. Myself, my granddaughter is now playing college basketball, Division I basketball, Natalie Zamora, and she played for St. Pius. Her senior year averaged 28 points a game. And
I did some of those games. I know. That was one of my beginning of. I didn't even know who Ken. I knew who Ken Sanchez was, but I didn't know that your
my granddaughter
was on the team until I saw you at the games. But it was neat to be able to put those games up.
And I traveled with her mom and dad to many of these cities to watch her play in club leagues, and we spent money in these hotels, eating at the restaurants. So we need to look at these venues coming to Albuquerque, because I think Albuquerque is a great venue, not just for baseball, but again, we can bring soccer tournaments here, we can bring basketball, volleyball tournaments, and I think the most important thing in activities, especially sports, and you've got music and different activities in schools, is to keep our young kids busy. That's how we keep our kids out of trouble, and we've got a lot more good kids in this community than we do bad. There are a handful of kids that have created some major problems in Albuquerque, but if you keep your children busy, families stay involved with their children, I think these kids are going to strive and they're going to go far and hopefully come back to Albuquerque once they leave to go to college.
Well, Ken, we're going to go to the top 10 plays of the week, and then we'll come back and talk more about Ken Sanchez and the things you've done for the city.
Thanks, Steve.
Gecko's Bar and Tapas, a proud supporter of Proview Networks. It's been a fan favorite spot for food lovers and sports fans. With not one, but two great locations, including outdoor patio, an atmosphere you won't want to miss. Gecko's off Academy and in Nob Hill.
Hoops New Mexico basketball courts is coming to Albuquerque soon. 10 full basketball courts and a whole lot more. For more information, contact Dan Serrano at hoopsnm@aybl.com.
Hey, welcome back to the Steve Davis Show. We got Ken Sanchez, City Councilor from District 1, and you got me excited. You got me fired up about when you talked, because this has been my dream. I've talked to many people for many years to have just a great sports complex for all the things that, you know, we're probably one of the most passionate states about basketball there is. Okay, I mean, you yourself, you're a big fan of basketball. I played. I went to UNM, and still a big. But you know, we lack a big place for, you know, to bring people in that we could say we could have an economic impact on the rest, and have them bring their money in and spend it in Albuquerque. So.
Yeah, we're hoping to see that done. Like I said, the next phase will be soccer, and like I said, basketball and volleyball. And I think we would attract a lot of tourism coming to the city with their children to be able to provide that economic boost to our community. And right now in Albuquerque, we are struggling financially. I mean, we're at the top of the list for all the wrong reasons. Crime in Albuquerque has been a major challenge. In this last budget with the city of Albuquerque, I called it a public safety budget. And we put additional money in for longevity pay for police officers, to keep those officers that can leave after 20 years, hopefully keep those experienced officers to serve 25 years. We have 25 new PSAs, or police service aides. The young kids that are between the ages of 18 and 21 that cannot become police officers can come in and become PSAs, and then eventually work their way into the academy and become sworn officers. But back in 2006, we had 1,098 sworn officers working for the Albuquerque Police Department. Today we have approximately 830. Those numbers have dwindled. When you have a graduating class of 87 and 90 leave to retirement, you have a loss of 3 officers per year. But that's been going on for some time now. So I think the priority in our community is to make sure that we keep Albuquerque safe. If we have a safe city, we will have a prosperous city. And that's one of the things that I believe the city council, the mayor, and this community needs to work on together. You know, if you don't have a neighborhood watch program, I would definitely recommend that you form one. The neighborhood watch programs work excellent, and they've done some remarkable things for these communities. We have one in our neighborhood, and the neighbors are kind of watching after neighbors. I know years ago we called that neighbor Gladys Kravitz, the nosy neighbor. But nosy neighbors protect other neighbors. And we really encourage people to go out and support the neighborhood watch program.
Well, you know, back to the crime, and I'm not I just read and do it, but I just know that the people that are doing the crime, they're very intelligent. That they know what they're. I mean, they know the response to a scene. I mean, they got it down. I mean, just in my neighborhood, there's, you know. my truck has been stolen like twice over the period of 8 years or 9 years, and it's. And I'm in a nice neighborhood. I mean, but again, back to, I don't think we have a neighborhood watch, it just makes sense that, and actually, these guys were so good that actually my neighbors were actually just they just walked up, act like they were doing it, and popped the thing, and they were gone, and they just thought that it was a friend of mine. They were nice looking. They weren't thugs or anything. They were just good at what they did.
Yeah, but right now in Albuquerque, we are #1 in this country for auto thefts. I just met with one of your colleagues, Ed Nunes, as he was walking out, and he had his dad's truck. It was an heirloom for Ed, and they stole that truck also. He said he had a $2,000 reward out to try to get the truck back, and those things are hurtful. One of your board members, J.C. Lopez, I got a call from him.
That's a funny story
last
too.
week, and they stole his truck. I mean, so we've got a serious auto theft problem in the community, and we've got to be working very closely with the chief of the Albuquerque Police Department and also the district attorney's office and the courts. I mean, it's a handful of people that are committing a lot of these crimes, but they are saying right now that there is 1 auto theft per hour in Albuquerque. That is unacceptable, and that's one of the things that we need to work on.
You made a statement, and I'm going back to 2006, and I don't know exactly what the population is, but probably since 2006, I would say there's anywhere 50 to 100,000 more people living in Albuquerque in that time, or maybe even more than that. And if I'm correct, you said there was 1,100 police officers then. Now there's 800.
Right.
So that even makes the job even tougher.
And we've got to be competitive also with salaries. We are facing, the police department right now is facing a settlement agreement with the Department of Justice. That is now in the federal courts. Our monitor has been here 2 years, and we as taxpayers are paying this federal monitor probably $1.4 million a year to oversee this settlement agreement. So I mean, we've got to work on some of these changes, and I'm really proud of the police department because today 100% of our police officers are trained in crisis resource training, and that is so important. But again, I support the men and women that work on the streets of our community. They are working now 12-hour shifts. I think that is also unacceptable. For a police officer to be under that type of stress for a 12-hour shift has got to be very difficult, especially with the crime that we are confronting here in our community, because they are putting their life on the line each and every day for the citizens of this community.
Let me ask you the million-dollar question. Okay, so I mean, you see it. It's a big topic. It's a hot topic. Okay, how do we make it where people want to stay in Albuquerque instead of leaving? I just read, not in detail like yourself, but it's frustrating to me when we go train 50 policemen, and then next thing you know, they're going to Colorado, they're going to California, they're going to other places because of the word of economics. They can make more money.
And I would like to see more local kids going into the department. I think there's a lot of good talent and a lot of kids that want to become police officers, and we should really emphasize in recruiting locally, because these kids are vested in New Mexico. These young adults will stay in New Mexico, and once you get into the Albuquerque Police Department, the benefits are exceptional. They've got great health insurance, the retirement benefits. If you serve 25 years as a police officer or a firefighter in Albuquerque, you can receive 90% of your high 3 years as retirement. So if you're making $70,000, a year when you retire, 90% of that will come back to you as retirement income. Plus, you're still young enough to go out and get a second job if you want to continue to work.
No, the benefits are great, but it's how do we motivate them to keep them? I mean, I guess I think that's because I see them every year. It seems like it just goes down.
And a lot of people are leaving,
right.
But a lot of kids that are here that grew up in this community are staying. And that's why I think it is so important that we look at recruiting more local talent here in Albuquerque. And it's okay to bring people in from across the country, but I know we've got a lot of great young men and women that want to serve this community.
Well, that's
and
where you
become
and I
friends.
are right on. Why don't we stick with New Mexico people? You know, you can get me on another subject here, but I'm just saying. But I really believe that, you know, we have great. I mean, we have. I'm more of the athletic side, but we have great athletics here. We have great, you know, facilities here compared to other states, and we're getting better facilities, and why wouldn't you want to, you know, have our people that we raised and taught, and they understand what's going on in Albuquerque or in the state of New Mexico.
And again, I think it's critical that we make sure we can provide jobs to these kids that are now getting out of high school, getting out of college. It's important that they can get a job, and that's why I think our population right now has been somewhat on the decline these last couple of years, because I think we were one of the last cities to fall into the recession, but we are one of the last cities coming out of this recession. So I think we're still struggling economically, and I think good jobs, a good educational system in our community, working with APS, working with UNM, CNM, our charter schools, working also with the city, the county. We've all got to be in collaboration in leveraging the resources that we have available to make this community a better place, because there's only so many dollars out there available. So we've got to leverage those resources and make things better. But again, if we have a safe city, we will truly have a prosperous community, because I think Albuquerque and New Mexico, the land of enchantment, should be the land of entrapment, and people that grew up here should stay here.
You know, you make a great point. There's one pool of money, and I talked to you before the show a little bit, and it amazes me with there's 9 city councils, there's 9 districts, you know, there's only X amount of dollars, but to how y'all work together, and every needs is important. You can make justice, you know, like your biggest thing is you want a hospital on the west side. I mean, I do listen to when I go, and I do watch those meetings on Monday night, but I'm just saying it makes sense. I mean, you know, if somebody gets hurt, you know, and there's not a hospital there, it all makes, but then there's other areas that need something else, and how y'all worked as a team is I just want to thank you guys, because it's allocated pretty fairly, I think.
Right, I mean, we try to work together, and that's why I like the Albuquerque City Council and nonpartisan politics. We see the division up in Santa Fe. I mean, we definitely see the division up in Washington. But when it came to building the Patrick J. Baca Library, which we named it after a former city councilor on Albuquerque's west side, you know, the council members from across the district came out and supported me, plus our state legislators, Jacob Candelaria, Mo Maestas. They put some of their resources in. Art De La Cruz, who was the county commissioner at the time, and the county doesn't have the same pool of money that the city has. You know, he put $500,000 out of the county funds to help build this library. It would have not been done just with city taxpayer dollars, but people coming together and leveraging the resources that we had available to get these projects done. And again, I'm very excited about the city council supporting the initiative to get a brand new hospital to be built on Albuquerque's west side. That probably will take a few years. They've got to build the infrastructure. The infrastructure component alone is going to be $460 million, which will create more jobs here in our community. And we're very excited about that, because anytime somebody has an emergency situation and they call 911, the closer that hospital is, I think the better chance of that person being able to survive. Plus, I will be living probably 10 blocks from that hospital. I'm getting older. Hopefully, I won't need that facility in the very near future. But I think it's going to be a tremendous asset for all of the west side, and it will be developed. The first phase will be $160 million of a medical campus. We saw what they did with Rusk in Rio Rancho, and that's basically how it's going to start, with just an emergency room, and then from there they will expand.
Okay, we're going to come back and we're going to talk more about what you're accomplishing in the city.
Thank you, Steve.
Terry Cosper Insurance Agency is a proud partner with Proview Networks and a proud supporter of New Mexico high school athletics. Terry's been a local farmer's agent for over 20 years for auto, home, life, and business insurance. Just like high school sports are important, so are teen drivers. For more information, call Terry or one of his licensed staff members at 898-5556. Quotes are available for you. Garden Sort's Team Sales is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Get into the game. Garden Schwartz Team Sales features fine products and apparel from Wilson, Schutt Sports, Speedline, and Russell Athletics. We offer custom embroidery and screen printing services for all of your school or club needs, from team uniforms to school leather jackets. Specializing in all sports and serving all communities, from big schools to small schools, from up north to down south, or all points in between. Garden Schwartz Team Sales. For great prices, friendly staff, and quality products, call Garden Schwartz Team Sales today at 1-800-880-7767. That's 1-800-880-7767. Since 1939, Garden Schwartz Team Sales is a proud supporter of New Mexico youth athletics.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Don't forget, every Proview Network sporting event is on sale at our DVD store. Go to www.proviewNetworks.com to buy your DVD today.
Sure, you could get him a new car. You could also light a pile of money on fire. So maintaining this old car is your best option. Keep it running longer, stronger, with quality parts and a whole lot of Napa know-how.
Hey, welcome back to the Steve Davis Show. We have City Councilor Ken Sanchez here, District 1, and you know, time flies by quick. You know, I mean, 2005 is when, that's 12 years ago, and then before that, you're just telling me eight years of the city, at the county. Well, what inspired you? You know, I mean, I'm looking, and that was one of my questions I was going to talk to. It always inspired. If you look at, you know, if you look at me, it's like, sports is just always, I've always gravitated back to sports, okay? And it's like you had an unbelievable career and well known, and have a lot of people that have a lot of respect for you. I mean, from both the Republican and the Democrats. So that's a hard thing to do, but kind of give me a Reader's Digest of what got you involved and who kind of mentored you or made you who you are today.
Well, basically, you know, I grew up on Albuquerque's west side, and I've lived on the west side.
West Mesa graduate.
Right, I lived on the west side for over 50 years. It's over half a century, so it kind of dates how old I am. And I saw some
I didn't think you were a day over 51.
No,
Okay, so
I'm a little older than that.
I got that.
And I saw some of the injustices that we were dealing with as West Side residents. And my first experience was when I was in high school at West Mesa. We went to school on a split schedule, which meant that as a sophomore, I went to school in the afternoon from 1 to 5:30. As a junior, I went to school from 7 to 12. And as a senior, I went to school on a regular schedule. And I just felt that was unfair to all of the students in that school. And I knew it was unfair to them.
You know what? I never heard that. I mean, that's great.
I think that's one of the first schools that ever went on a split schedule. And then I got involved with some campaigns. Felix Nunes was a state representative, and we were good friends. And he decided to run for office, and he won that seat. And I always wanted to run, but I'm a sports fan also, and I don't like losing. So I held off, and I finally did run for the city council seat against a former city councilor who I have a great deal of respect for, Alan Armijo. And I lost that race by probably 247 votes.
And y'all are good friends.
Yeah, we get along great.
And
Alan also served this community for 20 years and did an exceptional job for the west side of Albuquerque, and lost that race. And right after that race was the county commission seat, and that was up. And there was also an incumbent in that seat, and that was Pat Baca. And Pat Baca was a giant in Albuquerque and New Mexico politics. And it was funny because I was sitting down at Little Anita's restaurant, and Pat said he wanted to meet with me. and said, Ken, I hear you're going to be running against me for the county commission seat. I said, Pat, I have the greatest respect for you, but I feel I'm ready to serve this community. He said, he pointed his finger at my face and said, I am going to beat the H-E-L-L out of you. I said, Pat, I have a lot of respect for you, but I'm still going to run. And miraculously, a miracle happened, and we defeated Pat in the June primary. But I still had enough respect for Pat to name the library after Patrick J. Baca for the work that he did for this community. And one of the tremendous...
That's a great story.
And one of the great...
on the west side.
On the west side, yeah, because he lived there on the west side. His kids went to school with me at Holy Rosary. You know, we went to the same school, so I've always admired Pat. He was a teacher a teacher and a principal at one of the local schools in the South Valley, and every time there was a birthday, he would give that child a book. I said this would be a great honor to Pat to name a library after the 20 years of service that he gave this community, and he also ran for mayor. He lost in the runoff to Louis Saavedra, but I was out there supporting Pat when he did run for the mayoral position. But he provided 20 years of excellent service along with Ellen, who also served 20 years both in the county commission and the city council. But I just think the injustices that we have faced on the west side is the main reason that I decided to run for this office. I just felt that, you know, we deserve a lot more than we were getting. A lot of the infrastructure, a lot of the improvements were going to the Northeast Heights. I mean, like I said, look at Community Stadium, how long it took us to get the West Side Stadium. It was a challenge each and every day.
Well, there's maybe, and I agree with you. It was really, when I first moved to Albuquerque, and I was in the 70s, played basketball for UNM, and then afterwards I bought a house on the west side. Okay, but it was like almost like you live on the west side, like I didn't live in Albuquerque. Okay,
right.
All right, okay. To see that evolve from now is like, it's almost, first thing people come is they go to the west side, because of one of all the things that are being built, and there's shopping centers, there's it's not like, it's actually, if you really think about it, it's almost a two-city town now, at the west and east side of the state, and the river dividing the whole thing. And I remember Coors Road just being just a two-lane highway.
Yeah, it was very dangerous. I mean, I saw some major accidents where
and only like one gas station in between there and Crown.
And there's still a lot that needs to be done. I think that one of the areas that we need to really focus on is a jobs housing balance where people can live, work, and play. I mean, right now people are having to cross the river, go across town to go to work. If we can create more jobs in Albuquerque's west side, and that's why I think this hospital is going to be so important, it's going to create some nice high-paying jobs, and that will also boost and benefit our economy.
Well, and I listened to it. And I've been following it, and as soon as you can get that done, I know there's there's only $466 million of the problem there, but that is, and it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. But just go back 12 years ago when you first took this. I mean, what's your biggest accomplishment that you really feel that I mean, they're all pretty major. I see 4 or 5 in your biography and things like that, but
I don't really want to take credit for any of this. I really believe having the community working with me, community leaders. We just lost Louis Tafoya, who was the West Side president. He served as the president of the West Side Neighborhood Association for many years. Joan Jones was the president of the Pat Hurley Neighborhood Association. We did some major renovation at Pat Hurley Park, and we've had to put some of these cameras out there. But I mean, if you go to Pat Hurley Park and look at the views of Albuquerque, that park is thriving again. We want to make sure that people come to the west side, enjoy the west side, enjoy the views, enjoy our parks. And we are now going to name, and it's under construction right now, a new community center after Joan Jones, who also recently passed away, and it'll be called the Joan Jones Community Center at Atrisco Hills. But I mean, I want to recognize, and that's what I like to do, is recognize the men and women behind the scenes and never get any of the credit as neighborhood association leaders that come to me and say, Ken, this is what we need here. And I'll work with them, I'll work with the council members, the mayor, in getting these things done.
Well, that's one thing you've done a great job. You don't hide from the public. I mean, I've seen you'll talk with, a young kid. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's amazing when you walk. You'll just go in and sit down, and you like to hear, really what the West Side needs, and hearing and doing something about it is two different things. And what I consider you as a doer. Okay, all right. And it might take you a while, but you're similar to like myself. I started out with Proview, and I envisioned this thing, and I even remember talking with Kenny Barreras 10 years ago. I said, look, I want to do all that. I want to do all the sport. I don't want to just do one game of the week. That's not the right thing to do. Let's do the whole thing for every mom and dad, every kid, and aunts and uncles, and the whole thing. And every game is a big game to somebody. It may not be the big game that the whole city wants to see, but it's a big game to somebody, and that's similar to what I see in you.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were pushing me. There's an election coming up for mayor. And people were asking me, wanting me to run for mayor. And I looked at it. The polling numbers looked fantastic.
Oh, I did.
But my mom passed away last April the 1st, and my dad passed away 30 years ago. And we started an accounting and tax practice, my dad did, on Albuquerque's west side. He worked for the Archdiocese of Santa Fe and wanted to open up an accounting practice. And he opened it right close to his home on 57th and Central. And people said, why would you want to open up a business right there on 57th and Central? He said, because if my car's not working, I can walk to work and still make it to work on time. And myself, my brother, my sister, and we have 24 employees that work with us now. We operate Gilbert Sanchez Tax and Accounting Service. And that was the difficult part for me, was leaving that commitment and that dream of my mom and dad and the hard work that they committed to run for the position of mayor. And you don't need a title to get things done.
Well, you just told me that, and that was very, very amazing that you're self. I mean, and you're right. You don't need a title to get something done. But there was a lot of people that were wanting you to run for mayor. I mean, and I know that because of all your accomplishments you've done.
I mean, the temptation was there, and the polling numbers looked really favorable. But I feel like I really made the right decision. And for me, family comes first.
Well, I was disappointed. Truthfully, I was kind of disappointed, but it was, since we're talking about the mayor, this year we got some great candidates. I mean, this is going to be it's going to be hard to vote for. I mean, because I feel that they're all good. I mean, I've talked with them, all of them, and they're just good people. I mean,
and I know all of them. You've got some exceptional candidates that are running, and I think that whoever is elected.
It's going to be still good, but it's too bad that one of those guys is going to have to lose because they're all the things they have done for for Albuquerque, and it's going to be good for Albuquerque, I do believe.
So I think it'll be a positive change for the city. And
change is nothing that Mayor Berry's done an unbelievable job. What he's done over there, but there's some things that need to be addressed.
And I've worked closely with RJ and Mayor Berry for a long time now, the last 8 years, and that's how you get things accomplished. You've really got to reach across party lines to get things done. And I think that we've had an excellent working relationship. I know one of the biggest challenges that I have faced, and I'm sure that he has faced, has been that 3-letter word. Art, the art project.
And hold your thought on that. We'll come back with art, because that's probably one of the biggest controversials, and I'm a layman to it, so we're gonna have fun with it. So we're gonna come back in this last segment. We're going to talk about art and talk about what your thoughts of art is.
Okay, great.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Altitude Sports Grill is where Albuquerque's sports fans won't miss a game. with locally crafted brews on tap and refreshingly crisp cocktails. Located in Hotel Cascada, Albuquerque residents find a staycation worth staying for. Catching Lobo sports, enjoying a beer on the beach, or wiping out, Hotel Cascada is home to your urban adventure. Affordable guest rooms, no-hassle water park parties, and much more.
Hey Lobo fans, I'm Sarah. And I'm Samantha. Jaguar Land Rover Albuquerque has been a family-owned business since 1988. The 2017 Jaguar F-Pace has been named the winner of the 2017 World Car of the Year and World Car Design of the Year. Land Rover's signature terrain response system is flawless against any curveball New Mexico weather can throw at you. We have a class-leading extended warranty on all Jags and Land Rovers and one of the greatest pre-owned inventories in the state of New Mexico. Call 505-797-3600 to schedule a test drive.
The Barley Room, proud sponsor of Proview Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you.
Visit the Frontier Restaurant. Due to heavy construction on Central, take lead or coal coming north or south. The Frontier Restaurant. Get your Frontier fix on.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, hashtag life change will occur.
Hey, welcome back to Steve Davis Show. We have City Councilor Ken Sanchez, and boy, you bring up a hot subject. I didn't bring it up. You brought it up. So let's talk about it's been very controversial, and you've been an advocate, and after I've listened to you, and listened to you at City Council meetings, makes a lot of sense.
And it's been a tough one, Steve, because this is so unpopular, and I really feel bad for the business community because they have struggled through this construction. But I had an opportunity to go to Cleveland and look at the work that they did in Cleveland with their art project, which was similar to what we're doing here. And they converted $250 million into the project into $5.8 billion of economic development for that city. In the recession that we are in, and also representing Albuquerque's west side, I was not able to turn my back away on $36 million west of Central that was going to go into the art project west of Central, plus the Yucca and sewer project that is also being done. We now have brand new broadband. We've got brand new sewer lines, water lines, brand new sidewalks, new lighting. I mean, the bus for myself was almost secondary, but I also think the bus system will work once it's completed. They will be electric buses. And the city in this last budget also will be hiring 12 new security officers to be on these buses to make sure that once the project is completed and the buses are running, that the buses will be safe. But people don't realize there are close to 5 million riders annually that use the Central Corridor for bus transportation. UNM students get to ride free. CNM students get to ride free. So a lot of students... Which
is a big issue. I mean, I look at the parking as a big issue at UNM, and,
right.
and even we're on Central, where people don't know where we're at. We're right, kind of goes right around us, but we're downtown Central, and even some of my guys that will work, they're excited because they're going to park up on Central and they're just going to take it right down to here, and they don't have to mess with the traffic, and it's working. From a negative, all the negative we've had in the last 6 months, people are starting to kind of change their opinion.
Well, now that it's 60% complete, they're starting to see some of the infrastructure go into place. You don't see the water lines and sewer lines because they're underground. You don't see the broadband because that's underground. but there has been 29 permits that have been taken out along the art project corridor in the last 5-6 months, and that's going to be equivalent to about $59 million of economic development for this community. Also, the construction, we have hired 1,000 construction workers. Brad Berenstam is the primary contractor, but that
New
kept
Mexico.
yeah, they've been in Albuquerque for over 90 years.
That was great.
And they've been a real asset to this community. And when they told me they was going to create 1,000 construction jobs in this economy and in this recession, it was really difficult to turn my back on this issue. I could have voted against it, knowing that there was going to still be 6 votes supporting it. But I felt that I made the right decision, and I've always based my decision on research that I've done, on some of the facts related to the project, before I will support any initiative, because a lot of this money is federal money, and people are saying, well, why didn't you use this money for police officers? Believe you me, I would have used all this money for police officers if we could have. These are federal transit dollars, and the money has to be used for transit and nothing else.
Well, in a way, I guess my answer to that is, in a way, it's going to help bring money in to get those other needs for a police officer. I mean, that makes sense. If the economy is going well, then there's more money to hire people and doing things. And what I'm seeing here is the economic impact, even though there's a backlash because of the infrastructure having to take place and for a short term. Like I said, there's some people on Central, their business has been really hurt.
I have my business on Central. We have our accounting and tax firm right there, 57 in Central. And my brother and sister have been mad at me because of the art project, especially now during tax season. I mean, it was a challenge for people to get into our building or to come to our office, but the staff at the front desk was telling people ahead of time, make sure that you go this direction, take this route, and it worked out well. I mean, I'm sure we probably dropped slightly our business, but not that much. People come to us once a year to get their taxes done. People file their.
Well, the jury's still out on the art project. But me as being down, actually I'm on Central, so I talk to everybody, and what I'm seeing is the biggest thing they just want to get the infrastructure done. They want to see the buses going, and I think that alleviates probably 90% of the problems, because once it starts running smooth and get the bugs out of it, it's going to be a positive thing.
And this is on their unknown territory.
And I was against it. I'm just telling you, you're
among 70%. This went as an advisory question on the ballot this November, and 72% of the people objected to the art project. So I mean, it wasn't a popular thing to do.
Well, and trust me, I have to figure new routes almost every day just to get to Central, and now I'm coming down Lead. I go all the way to Lead and come down, but it's still. I look at. I just drove it. I just drove the other day. I was curious. I drove from here, from all the way up to Dunster on the thing. And one, the traffic's not as bad as it was. I mean, people are things are starting to flow. So some positive things are happening.
And one of the things I tried to do when we got it done during the holidays, and Mayor Berry did work with me on that, is I had wanted to extend free bus service every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to patrons, and trying to get people out of their vehicles, stop at one of the parking rides, and hop on a bus and go support your local business. Well, we couldn't get it through the entire construction project, but the mayor supported me, and we got it done during the holidays. And I myself, along with Cynthia, my better half, we try to get in a bus every 2 weeks. We go to the park and ride and go down and support the local businesses.
Well, that's one thing too. The city council, I see you do support the local businesses around here and talk. And sometimes some of those talks are probably not very favorable, but you're good at. Good with the bad, but I like I said, I just see the tension. Almost 6 months ago, even with the people, the names say they didn't started the city council meetings, but they blasted it. Now there's people coming on and saying how, hey, they can't wait for it to get done, and it's a lot of the young people are really supporting this. That's what's really surprising me.
Well, millennials don't like to drive cars. I mean, they would prefer using mass transit and use bus services or take their bike.
I was really surprised when I heard there were like 5 or 6 young people came up and talked, and they this is like hey, thank you for supporting this. And I'm like, if it was me at that time of my age, I was like, I don't know that I would want it, but.
Yeah, we don't ride the buses that often. Like I said, I've been riding the bus a little bit more now to try to walk the walk and talk the talk. That I do support transit, and I want to go support the local businesses. But our young kids do love, and we're losing a lot of our young kids.
And you're looking at a lot of people right here in Proview. They're excited about it getting finished, where they can actually, they live on the west side. They're all my guys live on the west side, and they can't wait to just park their car and get on it and come down to work. Then it's so they don't want to pay downtown. You have to pay for parking to go to work, and so that's going to alleviate one of their expenses. So.
Well, I was talking to one of the residents on Albuquerque's west side, and he had converted his garage into an art studio. But he was a wrestling coach, and I think he still coaches wrestling up at Highland High School, or did at one time. And he takes his bike every day to work. And I said, hopefully when the weather's bad, you won't have to take your bike 8 miles. You can go to the park and ride and hop on one of the new art buses. It'll get you to work just as quickly, and if not faster.
Real quickly, it's amazing. We're actually running out of time. I mean, when you first came in, you're going like, well, how can we talk for an hour? I don't even know what Steve. Well, we're going to talk sports and all that, and here we're running out of town. I mean, we're out of time. Well, what's in the future? Okay, what's on your plans that you'd like to see over the next 10 years? You've gone 12 years. Let's just this fast. What would you like to see happen?
I think right now, for myself, the most important issue is some of the mental issues that we are dealing with in our community, and I would love to see a crisis resource center built where an individual that is dealing with mental illness can take themselves and just basically walk into that crisis resource center, or a police officer who's going to take somebody up to the jail, to MDV, can basically go down and take that person into the crisis resource center. I think that's important. I mean, one of the biggest challenges that we're facing today, and the homeless population, I think, is a major challenge that we are also confronting. We've got to find treatment for some of these individuals and find places for these people to stay. MDC, the old MDC, was opened for the winter months, but it's closed for the summer months. We should look at keeping that facility open year-round to deal with some of the problems with the homeless population.
And it's getting serious, and it's brought more of my attention coming down to Central. When you live in the Northeast Heights, you kind of, you do, but when you're down here, it's a serious, and seriously, these people are good people. I mean, it's not, almost every morning I wake somebody up, and they've been very, very polite and very nice. I mean, I'm not saying that derogatory, but I just say, look, you got to leave, and you're welcome to come back, but we got a business to run, and they respect that, and they just. And so I actually have some good friends that are homeless, but they just, for whatever reason, something went wrong in their life, but they're actually some good people out there.
Yeah, they are. They've got, some people just don't want the help they need. But I think with this crisis resource center available to people that are dealing with mental illness, they can just walk down and check themselves in. And I think it's important that we have these elements in place.
Well, Ken, we ran out of time, and I want to thank you again, I want to really thank you, yourself, and the city councilors for what you've done for Proview Networks, and also just keep doing what you're doing. I really appreciate what you stand up for and doing in the city of Albuquerque.
Steve, I really enjoyed being on your show. I think that we made a great team.
All right, sounds good, and good luck to you on your election here.
Okay,
I guess that's coming up.
Thank you, appreciate it.
That was good.